Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with day 983 of What's She Up To Now, documenting the journey as I transition from the brick and mortar world to the online world of business, from the corporate world where I spent over a quarter century, that's over 25 years, working in corporate America, working for some of the coolest companies on the planet, both huge, like unbelievably huge, like one of the biggest companies in the world, to really big family-owned companies, to smaller corporate endeavors, smaller corporate companies as a corporate employee, and then simultaneously running my own businesses in like 27 different industries and businesses over my 4+ decades of business. Long time, lots of experience, some good, some bad, some really, really ugly, some awesome, some just craziness. You know, we think our life is going to go in this nice straight line when we're young. We grow up, we go, oh, I want to be an astronaut. And I never wanted to be an astronaut. I don't know why I said that. But we grow up thinking we're going to be one thing or do one thing. And our life becomes this crazy journey of, and we hope it's ascending, it becomes this crazy journey of ups and downs. And especially when things outside of our control impact us, like the whole coronavirus thing. This whole year has been, you know, and we're over 6 months into it now. Let's see, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. We're heading into the 8th month of just crazy turmoil and chaos and just really interesting times. And throw on top of that the politics of what's going on, at least in America, and it's a little mind-boggling. But if you step back and you think for yourself and you just watch, it's amazing how you see the big picture. One of the things I learned to do a long time ago was just to step back and be an observer of the things that are going on around me. And I would do that at events. I remember going to the ClickFunnels funnel hacking live event and sitting back and watching the entire thing and the production. And I was there and experiencing it, but I was also stepping back and saying, I'm just going to watch the framework of this. And I realized that the entire event is orchestrated just like that organization does everything else. It was all set up just like a perfect webinar, a perfect sales machine. Everything from the beginning to the end, to the sound, to the lights, to the energy, to the making people wait outside the door. Everything was scripted and played out as if it were a giant story, a giant perfect webinar with all the little stories and all the little pieces and components built within it. And I found that just absolutely fascinating. So it's fun. It's not really fun, but it's interesting and very educational to step back and just be an observer sometimes. Sometimes we get pulled in and sucked into things and we get in these little emotional debates and arguments. But if we step back and we look at what's really going on, it's really powerful. And it gives us the opportunity to really choose how we want to respond and how we want to react to things versus just getting caught up in the fray of stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with us and with how we're going to behave in a longer term setting anyway. So today working, and because of that, I decided to be proactive and do the Get Up and Go challenge. So we're on day 7 of the 4th 30+ day Get Up and Go challenge that I've done during the COVID pandemic. And this is our 4th one. I've also done things in between the pandemic just to share lessons learned and to show up and to be in support of other people and to be in support of myself, because showing up, it benefits me as much as it benefits the people that hear the messages or hear what I share, because it keeps me moving forward. It keeps me moving the direction I want to go in my life. No matter what's going on outside of me, no matter what's going on, it keeps me focused on the direction I want to be moving. And some days it doesn't feel like any progress at all. And it doesn't feel like momentum, and it doesn't feel like we're going in the right direction. But every day I show up, I am making progress. I'm moving in the right direction, and I am creating momentum, whether it feels like it or not. And I think that's one of the most important things about being consistent and showing up and being there for people. And at the beginning of COVID, I was already doing challenges. I was already doing a bunch of stuff online, but So for me, I was in a better position than a lot of people were as COVID hit. And because of that, I felt it's my obligation to do what I can do to help other people to weather the storms and to find ways to deal with change and challenges to the best of their ability, knowing that guess what? COVID-19 is not going to be the last change and challenge any of us faces, right? We face changes and challenges every single day in our lives. And if we have a way to deal with them that guarantees we're always going to be better off than before we hit that challenge, why would we not want to do that? Why would we not want to learn that? And why the heck would I not want to share that, since I have been doing that for decades, literally decades. I've had challenges that I've almost never talked about in my offline businesses and corporate world. I don't think that very many people that I ever interacted with and worked with a few exceptions, even knew of the health challenges and the chronic pain and the things that I faced my entire life, my entire career. I just kept that stuff under my hat and hidden because I felt like it would put me at a disadvantage. If people thought that I was weak in any way, shape, or form, and that's that old corporate competition and things, I thought that if people knew, that they would think I was weak, and then I would be passed over for things like promotions. I would lose out on projects and opportunities and traveling and things that I wanted to do in that career if people knew that I had some physical limitations and physical challenges. So been facing challenges for my whole career and whole life and dealing with them in ways that guaranteed I was always better off after that challenge than before. So why would I not share that at a time when people are facing challenges that many of them have never experienced before? There are millions of people that have lost their jobs or their businesses have been shut down that have never faced a challenge like that before, that have never lost their job. Guess what? Everybody hasn't been fired 3 to 5 times. Everybody hasn't lost their job or been laid off before. Everybody doesn't have some of the experiences that you and I have that have helped prepare us for this particular experience that we're all having simultaneously. Never in the history of my life and a lot of different, I don't think this many people have ever been impacted by the same thing at the same time in a gazillion different ways, but impacted nonetheless, and having to face it as a simultaneous challenge. And so does that create a lot of difficulties and a lot of loss in our world? Absolutely. But it also creates even more possibilities and opportunities of how we can become better and stronger because of having faced this challenge. So Get Up and Go Challenge today was all about our core values, and how do we know what that is and what drives us, and how do we go about building upon that, because that is one of our superpowers. Our core values are our superpower. And instead of trying to change them, like sometimes we have a belief that's screwy and we want to change a belief, even a core belief, something that we've held for years and years and years, can be changed. I actually held the core belief that I was not invincible, but that I didn't need to take care of myself physically for a couple of decades. And that came back to haunt me in a really big way. And that was like a core thing. It was like, it was bottom of the priority list. I didn't take care of myself in the ways that I needed to live my best version of my life. And got a huge wake up call because of that. And that happens in a lot of different areas and aspects of our life. So I needed to change my belief that everybody came first. I had to take care of everybody else before I took care of myself. And that was a core value and I don't know if it was a core value. It was a core belief of mine that everybody else had to come first, and I had to take care of everything and everybody else before I slept or ate or took care of myself. And that was something that was a belief that I held very, very strongly and acted upon it for decades, that I absolutely had to change in order to continue to survive, but in order to continue to be here, right? And so core beliefs we can change. Core values are inherent in our being. I cannot change that I love the people in my life so much that I want to put them first. And that's actually a strength and a superpower, not a bad thing. But I need to remember that I am one of those people I need to put first as well. And if I'm not in that group of people I love and care about, there's a fundamental problem there. So it was changing the belief that I have to come last instead of putting myself in that group with the people that I love and care about. And that was a belief change, not a core value change. The core of me is still love and care about people that I love and care about. And that is my core belief, but I needed to make sure that I was included in that group. I think I beat that dead horse. Oh, sorry, dead horse. Look at my horse. It's got a mask. That was from one of my other videos. So that was our message and what we're doing for an exercise today, which is fun. And I am going to do it too because I haven't done it for a long time. So I'm actually going to look at my core beliefs and drill it down. I'm going to do each area and aspect of my life, and then I'm going to drill it down and find out what is my number one core belief. What is the number one thing that drives me? Because I want to build on that strength now and in the future, because that's my superpower. And I want everybody else in the challenge to find their core superpower as well. And instead of trying to change that or think that it's bad or beat themselves up about it, you know, we all have different things. Some people, their core value is freedom, and they will do whatever they have to and whatever they can to feel free. Others, it's control. Now, a lot of times it's control of other people, but it's really because they want control of themselves. So all of these things, they can be good or bad based on how we apply them. So we want to apply them, of course, in a positive way to make the world a better place. So core value today, get left holding the bag. Get left holding the bag, or leave someone holding the bag was our idiom for today for Supersize Your Business, which was actually, I have a lot more experience with that particular idiom or expression than I thought that I did when I first started looking into that idiom yesterday. So that was kind of fun. Fun challenge today was, what happens when we have bad thoughts, and how do we turn bad thoughts into fun? We're supposed to either take a picture of ourselves having negative or sad or bad thoughts. I say being hungry or hangry is a bad thought, or being bored is a bad thought, or being sad or negative, having a bunch of negative thinking. All I need to do if I want to have some bad thoughts is just walk around where there's a bunch of political signs sitting up, and that just can put me in a tank. So I try to, actually, this is really funny. I'm making my walking paths these days where I know the fewest political signs are. And I'm not talking one way or the other. I'm just saying political signs in general trigger emotional responses in people. And so I just try to make sure I go out in nature and I stay away from them. If I stick to the parks, there's pretty much no political signs. Can't have political signs in the parks, so that's always a good thing. I actually get to hang out with my granddaughter today, so that'll be fun. So that's part of the fun challenge too. We'll see if she has any. She's always so happy. I think we'll just take a picture of her with fun thoughts. So that's what I'm working on. I also hopped onto yesterday a very interesting entrepreneurial masterclass, and it's going all week, but I probably won't be able to catch this afternoon's session. But it's somebody that I've actually known. No, this is a secret, but I'm not. That's why I'm not saying the name. I've known this person for decades, but I didn't know them. But I had an interaction with them decades ago that was very negative. And now that I've learned a lot more about this person, I understand where they were at that time, and that their negative behavior had nothing to do with me. But at that time, I took it personally. So it was one of those perfect storms of a negative interaction that the person was just being defensive and competitive and territorial about something they had no right to be. And I let that behavior negate and shut down something that I was also trying to do. And shame on me for letting someone outside me shut down something I wanted to do. But now that I know the whole story of where that person was back then, I understand it. Now, it's too bad I didn't have that insight and understanding back then, because the work that they're doing now is incredible and really valuable and really fun to watch and participate in. But back in the day, I thought I would never see or hear from or of this person again. And so it's interesting that now I'm hearing of this person, and I've heard more about their story and where they were back then and why they were the way they were. And that's just a reminder to me and all of us all the time. We only ever, whenever we interact with other people and other businesses and other things, we're only ever seeing the tip of the iceberg. We're not seeing all of what's going on in that person's life. And social media has just exploded this perceptive and perception bias. And it's something we kind of need to guard ourselves against, because we can let it negatively impact us. I never, before going online, compared my businesses to other people. I just did my own thing and worked along. And then when I got online, I found myself watching what other people were doing in the same areas. And every once in a while, I would catch myself comparing myself to, well, so-and-so has already got 10,000 downloads a day on their podcast. You know, why do I only have 6? Or so-and-so is doing this and they did $1 million on their course. Why did I launch my course to crickets? You know, and comparing ourselves to others and forgetting that they have a whole different set of experiences and a whole different journey and a whole different there's so many factors involved that it's just the tip of the iceberg. So why would I ever compare myself to anyone and their success or failure in an area and my success or failure in an area to anyone else? It's each of us on our own journey. So it's a good reminder for that. And it's really fun to watch this particular masterclass and presentation, because it is a person that I thought was a jerk and an egotistical a-hole back in the day. And now I'm like, oh my God, this person's amazing. And I understand why they were the way they were back then, but I bet they didn't even know that they were being the way they were back then. And so it's like all of us, we go through an evolution and a journey, and we figure out that we can always become a better person, right? We can always say the right thing. We can, or say a better thing. We can always be kinder. We can always be a better version of ourselves, me included, right? Every single one of us. So doing that, and I will try to catch as much of that as I can, but I've got a doctor appointment. My doctor appointment had to be rescheduled for my cardiologist because they set me up with the wrong type of cardiologist, if you can imagine that. So I got a video call this week instead of last week on that. But all in all, life is fun. Life is awesome. We just have to look for the good in it. And if we look for the good in life and in ourselves, that's what we'll see and that's what we'll find. That's all I've got today. Go out, have an absolutely amazing day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below or direct message me. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow to give you another update on what I'm working on, what's working, what's not, what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the Get Up and Go Challenge. Every time I do it, it's different. And I've looked back on the last couple and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do that this time. I'm going to tweak this and do it. So this first 6 days already, and it will be the first 7 days now, this whole first week has been so focused on the individual, focused on you, the participants in the challenge, and then focus on me as well, because I'm doing it right along with them. Focused on really getting clear on who we are and what's important to us. And then starting tomorrow, we'll move into, and we'll do a little bit more of who we are tomorrow. I think I'm going to be perfectly transparent here. I have not got, I'll even show you, I have not got this particular challenge mapped out ahead of time. I've got 3 things I'm doing with it. I'm doing the lesson. So I've got the pages numbered 1 through 31, and you'll see day 7, which was today, days 1 through 7 are done, but everything else is blank. Then we've got a page of action items. Every day we're having an action item. This is something you need to physically do, because if we don't take action immediately on something that we learn, something new, a concept, we lose it immediately. If we don't act on it quickly, act on it immediately, we're 90+% likely to never ever use it or never act on it. And then the third thing I'm doing differently with this particular challenge is I am pulling a tool from my personal toolbox, something I do and use all the time in my life to make it work as well as I possibly can. A tool every single day for days 1 through 31. And again, I've only done through day 7 because I don't want to say I'm making it up as I go along, because I've done it enough before that I'm not really making it up. It's intentional, but I'm intentionally leaving myself open to what should come next instead of mapping it out ahead of time. In the past, I'll show you a past one. In the past, and this is just the summary of it, I would map it out ahead of time. In the past, I would map all the days out, but let me see if I did that. I'm pretty sure I did. This is just a notebook for the Get Up and Go Challenge. Let's see if I did it. Yep. Here's the 40-day challenge. I actually mapped this one out pretty much ahead of time before I did it. And then I'm always scratching out and having to change it. And so that's why this time I said, I'm just going to see what comes up. I'm not going to map it all out ahead of time. I'm going to do it one day at a time as I am participating in the exercises with everybody so that I know exactly how it feels. And then I've just got my brainstormed list of tools that I can pull from, because I wanted to brainstorm a list. So I wasn't trying to say, okay, well, what tool would I use for this each time? So I did brainstorm a list of tools. And so I can pick from those. And so far, all 7 have come off that list, although I suspect as I go through the challenges, I'll come up with others, or I'll think of other activities or tools that would be a little bit better, because I'm always tweaking tools. I learn about a tool and then I tweak it and I make it my own. And that's what everybody needs to do. We each need to do that. So go out, have an awesome day. I will, of course, be with you.